Do you ever get to the point where you're just sick and tired of feeling like nothing is going your way? Do you ever get to that place where you just don't want to keep pushing forward anymore? You just want things to suddenly break open and for there to be a moment that you can just breathe and you can feel like you are being successful, living the way you see in your head, where the thoughts that you have in your head line up with the way that your life looks. Do you ever have moments when you just wish that you could be in that place? That's what we're talking about tonight, is what it looks like when we actually have a life that is not rooted in fear. And so I want to take this moment to welcome you and thank you for joining us tonight because we are going to have some fun with this conversation. Now, listen, it's a Friday night. It's like, I don't know, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I'm not going to keep you long. But here's the thing that I want to come to you with, guys. I have been that person who was stuck living in fear. I've had to go through clawing my way out, not sure how things were going to turn out, always terrified, always trying to keep a balance, right? So that, okay, I don't want to get too excited because if I get too excited, then I'll get let. Finally, you reach a point where you go, you know what? Enough is enough. I sit back here and I talk about how I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to make it through. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. And at that time, absolutely nothing was changing. And every time something happened, I was devastated and I wasn't sure and my foundation was shaken. And so here's the deal. The day finally came when I said, you know what? Enough is enough. And since that day, I want to tell you how my life has changed. I've written two books. I've got three more coming out here in the next month. In May, I have more books coming out, and in June, I have additional books coming out. Like, that was the start. Then I was able to move into a different location, build things, start rehabbing properties, developing different paths. Things started to change. And when people came against me, I didn't have a problem standing my ground and saying what you're doing is wrong, or here's how I'd like to help you. You know, when you're stuck in that place, you're constantly being beat up and you come up with these reasons why things are not going to work. I've got to do this and I've got to do this. The greatest thing that I ever did in that time was give myself the freedom to just go do. And the moment I started to just go do, guess what happened? Everything shifted. Everything shifted. Fear is only overcome when we deal in truth. And the truth was that for me, I was not being honest with myself. I was not allowing my understanding of what I was enduring to be opened up and looked at. And it wasn't that I was standing in anybody's way from doing it intentionally. It was that what I thought was happening was that I was being realistic. But it wasn't until I crossed that threshold that I realized what I thought was realistic was actually negativity. And that's what happens when we're living our life rooted in fear. What we think is realism is nothing more than negativity. And in that space, we don't want to hear it. Not everybody has to get to the place where they're beat up to be able to cross that threshold. And I'm really hoping that you're one of those people who doesn't need to be in that place where you get beat down into the ground before you finally wake up and say, enough is enough. See you tomorrow.